In this problem, we want to find the equation of a line that's perpendicular to x minus 5y equals 4 and that contains the point -1, 2. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what is the slope of the equation that they gave us. Because once we know that slope, we can find the slope of the perpendicular line. Notice that in this section, you're going to have homework that's asking you about parallel and perpendicular. So I do want to make a note over here on the side for you. If two lines are parallel, then their slopes are the same. So if you know one slope, you automatically know the other. If two lines are perpendicular, on the other hand, which means that they make a right angle or 90 degrees between them, okay, then their slopes are negative reciprocals. Now, negative reciprocals is just a fancy way, a math way to say that they have opposite signs. So one is positive and one is negative. And that's what it means by negative, okay? And reciprocals means that you flip one upside down, the fraction upside down, to get the other. So again, if we know the slope of the original equation, then we'll be able to find the slope of our perpendicular line because we'll use this rule. So let's talk about how we can work with this original equation to find that slope. The primary way we'll do that is by solving the equation for y. This allows us to think about it in terms of the slope-intercept form. So in order to solve this equation for the letter y, I need to first get rid of my x. I need to move that over. Now this is a plus x because it's a positive x. So in order to undo that, I subtract x from both sides. Now this cancels, and I'm left with negative 5y. So notice that negative is with the 5. It has to stay. Over on the right side, I could write 4 minus x, but I will choose to write negative x plus 4. The reason for that is we know that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. I'm going to write that out here. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope. So because in y-intercept form, it's in this format, okay, the x comes first, the number that doesn't have an x comes last. That's why I'm putting negative x plus 4 in that order. Another thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to fill in, instead of just negative x, I'm going to write negative 1x. I find that that can help me think about what I do next. Because to get y the rest of the way by itself, because I'm not done, right? I haven't found my slope yet because this is not completely in this format. I need to get rid of the negative 5. Now this is negative 5 times y. So I need to divide by negative 5. So I divide by negative 5 here, but what I do to one part of the equation, I'm doing to all parts of the equation. So I'm really dividing each and every component by negative 5. This cancels, and I have y equals negative 1 divided by negative 5 is going to be the fraction 1/5. Notice that the two negatives divided give me a positive 1/5 times x, and then 4 over negative 5 gives me a minus 4/5. Now, again, the important part here is the slope. We can see that the slope of this particular line is 1/5. So again, the goal here is to figure out what is the equation of the line perpendicular to this. So I want to figure out what is the perpendicular slope. So for me, I say, okay, my perpendicular slope, my new slope, I'm going to flip this upside down. So instead of 1 divided by 5, it's going to be 5 divided by 1. And then this was a positive, so my perpendicular slope is negative. So my slope here is negative 5. Now, We have to still find the whole equation, but we've done a little bit of practice with finding equations of lines given a slope and a point. So we know how to do this. Let's take a look. I'm going to go ahead and switch to this fresh board. And again, we know our slope is -5. And they told us that it's going to go through the point -1, 2. So what I do first is I take my y-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. But I'm going to replace my m with what I know my m is, which is the -5. So y equals -5x plus b is the general form of the equation, except that I don't know the b value. Now I am going to do just a quick color code here. I'm going to go like this, -1, 2. Because I'm going to now substitute my known point into this. So I'm going to replace the y with 2. And then I'm going to replace the x with -1. My color coding. Here we go. Da, da, da. And then this is going to allow me to figure out what b value this must be. So I say, okay, 2 equals -5 times -1 is +5. Then I carry down my plus b. To finish solving for b, I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. And I get -3 is the b value. So this is what I'm now going to substitute in to this equation so that it's a complete answer. Y equals, then I have -5 x, and then it's plus -3, so I would write -3. If I were to go through the process of graphing the original equation and this new equation, I would see that they are indeed perpendicular to each other. Reminder, perpendicular means that the two lines make a right angle. Okay, and I'm actually going to go ahead and just show you what that looks like. So when I graph these, it would look something kind of like this. I realize that's huge. Don't worry, I'm just going to shrink that down for us so you can actually see it. But when you graph these two lines on the same space, you can see that they make this right angle. Okay, I'll actually give you just a smaller snippet of this so you can see it a little better perhaps. Let's try, yeah, here we go. That's clearer. So when you graph these two lines, they'll intersect at this point here, and they make that right angle. This is 90 degrees. So you can confirm that they are perpendicular. So this here is the final answer for the equation in slope-intercept form for the line perpendicular to this that goes through the point -1, 2.